This is the Extraordinary Rayman because my opinion is just that interesting. Well, it's that time again. Time to do a tag team review with
Richard. I'm an inspiring film critic from the Chicago area.
Alright, and today we're here to talk about Thor. Alright, Richard, you go first. What did you think about Thor?
I thought Thor was a very good film. Marvel was very ambitious this time, making a film based on one of their more difficult characters to translate on the screen. Obviously, Thor is based on the Greek god, who
It's Norse.
Based on the North god of thunder, Thor. You know, it's a hard character to put on screen, especially mixing into the Ultimates, mixing Norse mythology with the same world that Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk were in, which, you know, everything's based in science and military stuff.
Eventually,
in those
they're
films,
trying to, you know, build
because they're going to push them into the Ultimates. Correct. So having this build up to the Justice League like it is, they did a really good job. Okay, Thor is unlike any film they've ever made. It's like a science fiction epic, but not necessarily in the vein of Star Wars. More like Lord of the Rings. You know. They talk in that king speak. They have armor. They have swords. They're at war with aliens that are, you know, frost giants and things like that. And it's just completely different than anything else they've ever done.
Can I go?
Go ahead.
Alright. A friend of mine, the way he described it, like the look of it and stuff like that, it was kind of like Richard Donner's Superman meets Lord of the Rings. I mean, I remember when the movie was first announced, worrying how are they going to pull off this costume, because he has no sleeves. It's a very bright costume. It looks silly. There is
the whole thing is silly.
There is no way. I'm thinking maybe they make kind of like the costume in J. Michael Straczynski's run, but even that is something that would look a little odd in live action. And what they've done, I think, is so fantastic. It looks medieval, it looks like classical, but it also looks science fiction-esque. It looks space age, and I think that's just, I think it's amazing.
It was hard to do the movie justice in the trailers. It really, a lot of people were really, you know, questioning what it was gonna end up being like when they saw the trailers, because it wasn't in context. Once you're watching the movie, and you're in Asgard, and you know, Asgard is beautiful.
Yeah.
And you look at it.
I call like the main castle. It looks like a pipe organ.
Everything is just shiny and just. There's this first shot of just like the entire world, and it's just breathtaking on the big screen. Once you see all their armor and everything in context, everything changes.
It all fits. It all looks like another world.
Fits.
It all looks like another world.
Like me being a fan, when I first saw the costume, I was extremely excited. You know, I can see why other people would think that. Once you see it in the context...
But yeah, I mean, that's all nice and fine and dandy, but a majority of the movie doesn't take place just on Asgard.
But when it goes back to Earth, you're almost like, I want to stay on Asgard. I don't want to go Earth. I live here.
Yeah, it's boring. It's like, it's boring, this place. But actually, the stuff on Earth is really good, too. I was worried, because I'm thinking, of course, the opening is going to have Thor fighting, and then it's like an hour and a half of
fish out of water.
Fish out of water.
What is this, spoon?
What are these metal carriages with no horses?
But
bring me another beer, wench. Oh, he did kind of do that, didn't he?
He did kind of do that, but it was funny.
Bring me the mead.
But fish out of water stories always bug me. But this is probably like the best fish out of water story I could ever hope for, because he's not oblivious to Earth. I mean, one of his first lines, is it actually in the movie, or is it just in the trailer, where he's like, oh no, this is Earth, isn't it?
That's not in the movie.
Okay. No. Well, anyway,
they're aware that Earth exists.
He's aware of Earth. Like, in the beginning, when Kat Dennings' character points her taser at him, he knows it's a weapon. He knows it's a weapon. I don't know how...
Ariel had never even seen the shore, so how was she supposed to know anything that happened? Of course she's not going to know.
Yeah, but these guys are smart.
They've been to Earth before.
He was kind of like...
The Asgardians.
Yeah, they have... Yeah, that's actually a good point. I never thought about it. They have been to Earth before. And him, it's not so much of bewilderment, what is this tube that emits light like the sun? It's his more like, screw this, I'm Thor the God of Thunder, bow before Zod.
Right, he doesn't understand certain aspects of the social, like the civilization, like
when
he walks into a pet store and asks for a horse and things like that. But okay,
and it's all really, it's really funny because they don't They don't linger
Right.
on these jokes and stuff like that.
Let's take time to talk about the actors real quick because Christopher Hemsworth, who plays Thor in the
Chris
film.
Hemsworth.
Do you have to correct me? And everything?
Yes, I do. He was the dad. He was Spock's dad in Star Trek.
I see what he did there.
You see what I did there?
Anyway, no, I think he's great because it's kind of a hard character to do because obviously when they first were talking about Thor, I was thinking they're gonna get somebody bigger. Like Daniel Craig kept coming to mind. Daniel Craig playing Thor. I'm like, well, look at him. He looks. Put a helmet on him. He's Thor. Long hair. They went with a younger actor. Obviously, they wanted to, make him somebody who you could relate to. He nails it.
Mm-hmm.
He really does. He's this cocky jerk in the beginning, and just something about his voice.
Yeah.
The way he says things is so
He's got
funny.
a very mighty
He's got this very mighty voice, but it's not corny. He's not any different from anybody else his age who would be in his position. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he when his main character flaw is his violent obsession with, going out and causing war, which is understandable, but still, he's a very, very headstrong
Right.
person, and he endangers his people, and that's his major flaw.
And that brings us to Anthony Hopkins as Odin.
Yes.
Anthony Hopkins as Odin is a very good thing.
It's like,
If you're retarded, you won't agree with me.
It's like Patrick Stewart playing Professor X. This had to happen. This had to happen.
He just embodies what an actor would need to do. If you're gonna believe that he was the king of a bunch of gods, it would need to be somebody like Anthony Hopkins. Okay, Liam Neeson was Zeus in Clash of the Titans. They're like, well, we can't cast Zeus as Odin. We can't cast Liam Neeson as Odin. Who can we get?
He's already played a god.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Boom. Everything he says, like, he's standing there in his armor. He's got a pirate hat
he's got a big
on.
yellow eye patch on his eye.
You would think this should be stupid and hard to take seriously, but he takes it so seriously, and
Yeah. He plays
it's not
it straight.
that-
And he brings a lot of like maturity and
Class.
sophistication and class to this role because he does it godlike. He's like
up
so
until
mighty.
this point in the movie, it's not like you're not taking it seriously, but once you see the interaction between him and his sons, it's very realistic.
Especially the scene where he finally banishes Thor.
It's
and he
very
tries
realistic.
really mad.
One part of the film I think that they didn't necessarily develop as much as they should have was the brotherly relationship between Thor and Loki.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the love story between Natalie Portman and Thor we'll get to later. But
Ugh.
it just wasn't developed as much as, like, I always thought of Prince of Egypt when I was thinking about the movie
As
because
a brother, in a sense, a brother
it's
relationship.
very similar to it. You
Yeah.
know, it's like it's reversed almost.
Yeah, it is,
You know,
kinda.
between Moses and Ramses. If you don't know the twist, I won't spoil it. But they didn't develop that as much as they should have. But that's okay when you have the actors. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, I just finish your thought.
There's a lot of conviction with what's going.
Yes, which is important because something I like to say is, a script is important, but an actor is really responsible for ultimately bringing a character to life. At least
Inception
Inception is
does not have a lot of character development. I'll admit it.
I would like Scott Pilgrim. Something I thought about Scott Pilgrim is like the movie does not have nearly as much character development as the book does, but the people who play these characters bring them to life. There's a lot of conviction, but the issue is, since we don't develop them as brothers, them ultimately fighting at the end seems like, well, an obvious choice. They gotta fight at the end.
Right.
There has to be the big climax. But Loki, that reminds me, Loki, I thought, Thor is a fun character. He's the hero and everything. But I thought Loki to be an incredibly fascinating character in this movie. Rephrase, yeah, he's the antagonist of the film. Every action he does is not even he has a reason for it, but it's not even a selfish. It's not even a selfish choice. He's doing this to protect his kin, to protect the people around him. He does do something to ruin something for somebody else, and I'm trying not to spoil that. But even so, he has it with the intention of protecting his fellow Asgardians.
Right.
Asgardians. Sorry.
And then let's talk about the other actors too. Natalie Portman, Stellan Skarsgård,
What was
who
that?
was Bootstrap Bill in
Oh.
Parts of the Caribbean.
Wait, what's his name again?
Stellan Skarsgård.
What's his first name?
Stellan Skarsgård. IMDb Thor, that's his name, Stellan Skarsgård.
I'll have to Google that one.
Who plays Eric Selvig, I think his name is. And then there's Kat Dennings, okay? A lot of people complained that her character was completely unnecessary. I'm gonna defend her right now, okay? They're turning Thor into a mainstream Hollywood movie, okay? It had to be funny.
And she's very funny.
And she adds levels of humor that I'm sure a lot of people will hate, okay? Because she just throws in stupid comments, okay? And they are stupid. But they make you chuckle. Because the whole...
They manage...
It just lightens everything up.
Sure, in a story is about the most important, one of the most important situations that has ever happened in that person's life. And even so, you want to cut out the fat. We don't care about when you slept and had dinner. We care when you went into that job interview and your wife almost murdered your mom or something like that. We care about those parts. But even if a character in a movie specifically, because humor, especially the style of humor they do in this that requires timing and images, in a movie sometimes you just need somebody else to be funny, and she's funny. And I personally think Kat Dennings is attractive. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I like her. And it's not just because of her lips. And
all the actors, they look really good together. They all mesh together really well. And a lot of people complain about the romance between Thor and Natalie. I'm going to defend it real quick, okay?
Go ahead.
Thor comes to Earth, okay? He's shown hospitality by a very pretty girl who's very, very sweet. Why would he not be interested in her? Just because he's a Norse god. She's obviously... Look at him. No homo. No homo here, okay?
No homo.
No homo.
Cross
Chris
the heart.
Hemsworth? Damn. I don't think it's any more underdeveloped than Jack and Rose were in Titanic. Titanic was just 3 hours longer.
But Titanic, yeah, we did have a lot longer to spend with them.
Right.
And I don't really... Their connection is a little too, not even obvious, because you know when you introduce a female character, an attractive female lead, with an attractive male lead, you know that they're going to end up together. But it's a little too obvious from the get-go.
They wanted to make a Hollywood movie. And I know that's probably going to make a lot of you groan that I'm saying this, but it's Thor.
Because unless you're...
Look at this! You think this is going to get turned into a movie like that? Okay?
It's not like Iron Man, where it has a robot suit and Robert Downey Jr.
These are guys in armor, in space, fighting frost giants.
Yeah, it's basically like...
With a hammer.
It's like a 70s rock album cover. It's like not something you can market to people. I mean, Spider-Man is easy because everyone knows Spider-Man. Iron Man is easy because it's a giant robot. Not a giant robot. Well, Transformers is easy because it's giant robots that transform into cool cars.
It's the same reason they cast Chris Evans as Steve Rogers. It's the same reason they cast Johnny Depp as Sweeney Todd. There's a million things, $1 million specifically, that go into making a movie, and they want to make profit.